along the way, you feel free to type it into the Q&A. So if you look at your menu bar for the Zoom, you will see a Q&A function. You also see a chat, but we would prefer that you type in your question in the Q&A tab, because that will ensure that the question don't run away. Because with chat function, once other people put in their comments, your questions will get pushed upwards and we might not be able to find it. So key into the Q&A because it will be tagged accordingly. And my team here, we have a team of staff here who will be answering these questions as the presentation is ongoing. Okay, so I'm the principal, Mr. Peck. With me in this meeting also is our vice principals, Mrs. Joyce Lim, our vice principal for academics, and Mr. Hamri, our vice principal for administration. So they'll be at the background as well to try to address to any questions that you might have. So the agenda for today, very simple. We will first of all go through the phases of primary one registration. Because we have done an e-open house a few weeks ago, and the videos of that briefing has already been uploaded onto our school's YouTube site. So if you have missed that, you can feel free to go into that video to take a look. So we will not be covering the P1 registration in a lot of details. It might be a little bit fast. So you might want to go back to the previous video for some of the details. But we are also going to be probably highlighting a little bit more regards to the implication of our, of the rules of P1 registration, and particularly the context that is related to our school in terms of the number of places that we have, particularly the number of places that are available for phase 2B, which is what you are interested in, and that the number here, and also in terms of the number of PVs that we are taking in, will give you an indication as to your chances, and therefore helping you to make the decision as to whether this is a school that you will want to sign up as a parent volunteer. Then next, we will go on to talk about the compulsory and the ad hoc duties that we have with regards to the kind of services that we require the support from the parent volunteers. And then last but not least, we'll go through some of the do's and don'ts in terms of the parent volunteers working in our school. And many of these terms and conditions will actually, apologies, deduce sometimes from some of the experiences that we have had in the past. So we just want to make sure that everyone is aware of the situations and the do's and don'ts. Okay. Okay, so very quickly, P1 registration, the different phases, the details explanations is also contained in MOE website. So for some of us who might want to have more details, you can refer to the MOE website. But practically, the phases are divided into several. At phase 1, the school will take in all the siblings of students who are currently studying in the same primary school. Okay, and usually none of the school in Singapore will get filled up by taking in all the siblings. So phase 1, after taking all the siblings, the remaining places will be opened up for the rest of the parents and the students with regards to the following phases again. So after taking all the current students' younger siblings, we will next take in students whose parents were former students, or the older siblings were from this same school, but then perhaps have graduated before the younger one is due to join the school. So meaning that the age gap between the siblings is more than 6 years. So if that is the situation, then the priority for the child would also drop to phase 2A. Phase 2A would also include children whose parents are members of the school's advisory or management committee, It also includes students whose staff is for parents is a staff member of the primary school, and also for students who are currently studying in the MOE kindergarten residing in the same school. So I'm going through some of these things here because many of you probably will not be just considering one school to do a parent volunteer. So you also want to know the situation that are unique in the different schools. So for us, okay, our other than the siblings, the former siblings and parent situation, which in our school is not very huge at this point in time, because we are celebrating our 25th year this year. So even our first batch of students, they are probably in their 30s, and their children are probably at this stage, still growing up. And we are seeing the early stages of the kind of alumni children wanting to enter our school situation. So this is actually, the number is actually not high. Similarly, in terms of our school advisory and management committee, the number is very small. We have fewer than 10 members. So again, the chances of many parents who qualify under that category is not high. Our staff members, I think this year we have none, right? We have none. None of our staff have school-going children. Okay, we have one. Huh? Okay, we have one. Okay, so again, the number is not huge. That will take up all the places. And for Admiralty Primary School, we do not have an MOE kindergarten. So again, with all these categories, having very small numbers, so we don't see a very huge competition at this phase in terms of phase 2A. And phase 2A, just very quickly, is that in the past, it used to be separated into phase 2A1 and 2A2, whereby parents who are former members of Alumni Association has a higher priority, but that has been removed from this year onwards. So phase 2B will be the one that our parent volunteers will qualify. And other than that, in terms of some of the other schools that also would have similar, would have different kind of configurations, such as church or clan schools, parents who are members endorsed by the church or the clan association would also qualify for phase 2B. In addition, parents who are community leaders, like volunteers in the RCs, if you qualify the requirements specified by the RCs, they would also give you a recommendation letter that will allow you to qualify under phase 2B. Okay, so that's the group of parents that will qualify for phase 2B. And after that, the places will be opened up to all other students, all other children who are Singaporeans or Singapore citizens, who are Singapore citizens or permanent residents. Okay, so phase 2C is open up to almost all, other than the only one that's excluded will be pure international students who are not even Singapore permanent residents. Okay, phase 2C supplementary. Okay, because phase 2C particularly, for a lot of schools will be highly competitive, particularly the popular schools. So there will always be balloting situation in these schools. And therefore, for those who are not successful in that phase 2C to get into the school of their choice, they'll be given another choice under phase 2C supplementary, whereby at this stage, for those schools with places that are still not filled up under phase 2C, these would be the places that are open to parents who have not been successful in phase 2C to then choose from these other schools that have vacancies remaining at phase 2C supplementary. Okay, now of course in phase 2C supplementary, there are also situations whereby there are ballotings. Okay, but we will ask the parents to choose very carefully, because once you still try to get into a competitive school at phase 2C supplementary and you don't get in, then you are really left to MOE to post you wherever they will post you to. So generally for phase 2C supplementary, we would tell parents that if you're not successful at phase 2C, that you try to get balloting into a more popular school, then at phase 2C supplementary, you will want to play safe. to go into a school that has no balloting situation. So that's the kind of advice that we want to tell the parents. Phase 3 is for international students, and at this stage, the international students would all have to be posted by MOE. Okay, so the international students, we actually don't ask the parents to do PV because they can't qualify. They can't qualify under the phase 2B system. They have to all be placed into a school under phase 3. Okay, so that's just want to be very clear for some parents who might be, whose child might still not be SPR yet. Okay. Yeah, so just want to also be very clear to everyone that under this whole different phases of phase 1 registration, the parents can only register in one school. That's it. Okay, you cannot say I try to have a few schools and I register in a few schools and I see which one I can get. Okay, at any point in time, once you lock your registration in one school, that's it. At any phase, in every phase, you can only register in one school. Okay, so that's something that we also have to make very clear. Okay, so coming to our school's context, let's look at the number of places. So the number of places allocated to our school has been 210 in recent years. So we hope that for this year, it will not change as well. MOE normally will not confirm this number until much later in the year. So this is just a figure that we are using based on our past experiences. The number is unlikely to go up because the population in Woodlands has been quite stable. We are not seeing a big swath of movements of people moving into the Woodlands area. Neither are we seeing a lot of people moving out. So really, this is kind of an aging neighborhood, and that's why through the years, the actual number of P1 places has been decreasing, but nevertheless, the decline in terms of the number of places or the aging of this neighborhood is actually very gradual. So we are not seeing that kind of changes. So we hope and we hope that the number will remain as 210. So now, given the number at 210, as I've said, not for most, if not all the Singapore primary schools, we are able to take in all the siblings, and we will still have places left. So for Admiralty Primary's cases, we are estimating about 85 of our children would have younger siblings that will want to register under phase 1. So once 85 places are being taken up, we are left with 125 places. Okay, so at this stage, we will have to make this allocation of compulsory places at phase 2B, 20 for phase 2B, and 40 for phase 2C. So for all schools, once they take in all the students under phase 1, they are supposed to next allocate 20 places to phase 2B and 40 to phase 2C. All schools compulsory. Okay, and after doing that, we are left with 65 places. So with these 65 places, we will then be opened up to phase 2C. Now, for our school, as I've explained before, we are not expecting huge number under phase 2A. So 29 has been the figure that we are approximating based on our past year trends. So once this 29 students under phase 2A are being taken in, we are left with 36 places. So with this 36 places, we again would have to allocate it to phase 2B and phase 2C. And you will see that this is something that is new. In the past, phase 2B and phase 2C used to get 50-50 allocation. But from this year onwards, you will see that MOE have made the announcement, I think late last year, that the number of places placed under phase 2C will be double that of phase 2B. Okay, so because of that, the initial allocation is 40 for phase 2C and 20 for phase 2B. So now all the leftover places after phase 2A will again be divided in that way as well. 2 parts to phase 2C, 1 part to phase 2B. So in this fictitious example where we say we are left with 36 places, then we divide them into 24 for phase 2C, 12 for phase 2B, and we add that to the number that has been allocated earlier. then we get the number 32 and 64. Okay, 32 for phase 2B and 64 for phase 2C. All right. So, okay, so this is the places that are being allocated to each of the phases. And again, we look at the historical trend. So from 2019 onwards, our vacancy allocated by MOE has been about 210. If you look at the phase 1 number, you will see that the number 85 that we have as a projected figure is a reasonable one. Phase 2A, again, we are seeing an increasing trend because a school with 25 years of history, our students are really gradually, having graduated, they are in their 30s, they are getting married, they are having children. So going forward, we are expecting this number to grow bigger and bigger. So that's why there is an increasing trend, and we are estimating 29, in a more conservative side. Okay, and that's why we are left with 32 being allocated approximately to phase 2B and 64 approximately to phase 2C. So that is in terms of the number that has been allocated based on our other take-up at phase 1 and phase 2B. So what happens if the number of people registering for the phase exceed the number of places? So at phase 2B, what if I have more parent volunteers, or at this stage for our school, the other group that will qualify will be the RC volunteers. What if this total number exceed the number allocated? So what will happen? So at any one stage, okay, so MOE's P1 registration ruling is that at any one stage, which will not be likely for phase 1, but for phase 2A, for some school, very popular ones and very maybe with very long histories whereby they actually have a very large number of alumni members, then there might be a situation whereby at phase 2A, they will have to ballot. And then the phase 2B and phase 2C will just be the 20 places and 40 places allocated earlier. Okay, so, but for our school case, phase 2A, no problem at this stage. And then phase 2B and phase 2C, these are the numbers allocated. And if the number registered is more than this number, then we will have a balloting situation. So once we have a balloting situation, then the following rules will start to apply. Number one, the Singapore citizens will get absolute priority over the permanent residents. Okay, so that is something that has been so since 2012. Okay, and then amongst the group that qualifies, we will divide them into 3 distance categories: within 1 kilometers, between 1 kilometer and 2 kilometers, and outside 2 kilometers. Okay, so these are the 3 groups. And if you are interested to know, then go to MOE's website. There is actually one particular app that allows you to key in your address and the school that you are interested to find out the distance. And then the program will tell you what is the distance categories that you are in. Okay. So just a few examples. In this case here, fictitious one, if a school has 50 vacancies, okay, and then 61 children have applied, so more applications than vacancies, we get ourselves into a balloting situation. So once we get ourselves into a balloting situation, we split the applicants into Singapore citizens and PR. So we look at the Singapore citizens, the total number is 56. So it means that within the Singapore citizens, there is already not enough vacancies. And because they have absolute priorities over the PRs are all out. They are not eligible for balloting at all. No chance. Okay, so all the PRs will be out in this particular scenario. And for the SCs, out of the 56, we'll divide them into the 3 distance category. So let's look at the first category, below 1 kilometers. There are 38 of them. Okay, so because 38, okay, 50 vacancies, I can take them all in. So all the 38s will be taken in first. After that, let's look at between 1 and 2 kilometers, 10. Okay, so if I take 10 in, I have take up 48 places. So I am able to take in all the 10 students in this distance category as well. Okay, moving on to the next. Okay, more than 2 kilometers, I'm now 48 places filled. I'm left with 2 places. I have 8 students in this more than 2K category. I will get into a balloting situation for this distance category. All the rest earlier, between 1 to 2, within 1 kilometers, all are in, and the balloting will only be for these 8 students, okay, competing for the 2 places left. All right, so that's what this example shows. Next example, another scenario. We have 50 vacancies again, and 54 children applied. So first step, split them into Singapore citizens and PR. And now, because the Singapore citizens, we have 47, okay? So it's well within the 50 vacancies. So all the Singapore citizens will take them all in. Don't need to ballot. Okay, Singapore citizens, absolute priority over PRs. So Singapore citizens all will take in, no matter what is the distance category. Take them all in, we are left with 3 places. So 3 places, now we look at PR, we split the 7 into the 3 distance category. Okay, first category, within 1 kilometer, I have 4 children. Okay, so 4 children versus the 3 vacancy left, I have to ballot within 1 kilometers. Those that are outside 1 kilometers, the 2 children and the 1 children outside 2 kilometers, they are all out automatically. They won't even get a chance to ballot. Okay, so that's what the rule says. Okay, so when the balloting is to be conducted for PRs within 1 kilometers, those that are outside of that will automatically just not be eligible for balloting at all. Okay, so that's how the rule for balloting applies in the different scenarios here. Okay, all right. So for our school, we just want to do this. Now, in terms of taking in the number of parent volunteers, it is an inexact science. So we will never know exactly how many to take in. But we definitely want to offer the opportunity to as many parents as we possibly can. Okay, so there is that balance that we need. We don't want to deprive parents of the opportunity to be able to, you know, for those of us who have the means and wanting to get ahead of the priority, we want to be able to offer that. Okay, so in the way we are taking in, there is a likelihood that balloting will happen. Okay, but we just want to also share with everyone the kind of different options that we have other than the balloting. So the balloting is something that most likely we cannot avoid. Okay, we cannot avoid. But what we do is this, that for those who are in our parent volunteer system, okay, if unfortunately you are unsuccessful in the balloting, then what happens is that we encourage you to, first thing first, you must register your child in another school, because your child needs to be registered in the school and to be going to a school. You cannot be, you know, left in the limbo whereby you don't want to register and you want to wait for the places in the school that you want to go in for a vacancy to appear. Because if there's no vacancy appearing, then your child will be left in the limbo. So definitely the rule is that if you are not successful as a parent volunteer under phase 2B, we will encourage you to register your child in another school first. Okay, some parents will ask, oh, why can't I try phase 2C? Okay, you can try provided that you qualify for that phase. So, and usually that will be within 1K. Okay, so the phase 2C balloting criteria is generally more stringent because the competition is usually a lot higher in phase 2C. So phase 2B is the one that you most likely have a more relaxed kind of a balloting situation. And if you can't get in, then chances are that at phase 2C, the competition is going to be even the odds are going to be against you even more than phase 2B. So generally, we will feel that the success rate is not high, although under certain circumstances, particularly if you are living within 1K from the school, you can try phase 2C again. But again, because of that competition, you might still not be successful. Then what we are asking you to do is register your child into another school first, and then sign up on our wait list. Now, on our wait list, the way we will arrange in terms of the priority will be this, that we will actually put in, you know, unless there are other kind of criteria, which at this stage, we don't have any other criteria other than PV. The only other criteria that would displace our priority for PV will be if MOE needs to come to us and say that we have to take in certain children because of very special consideration. And that kind of request is very rare. But we have to be very upfront about that there can be such a possibility, even though it is very rare. But if not, then generally we will actually place our PVs who have volunteered our services to us at a very high priority in terms of our wait list. So what does it mean is when you're on our wait list will be that in the event that any child within our P1 and P2, after the child enter already, at any one point in time, if there are withdrawals from our school, and that sometimes happens because either parents gets a job posting overseas and they are withdrawing to go overseas for a period of time, or they might move house to another part of Singapore, and then the vacancy will appear again, and because they want to withdraw their child from this school to enter into another school. So these are some of the situations where vacancies can appear, but it's difficult for us to anticipate when a places might come up. Okay, so there's no way we can project or estimate how long the wait will be. Okay, but we will say this, that the wait will be for a maximum of 2 years. Because at the end of the second year, okay, which is your child is in P2 in another school already, okay, when, because of the school, the school placing system, when we move on to primary 3, our school actually is able to take in another 20 to 30 more students. Okay, so very likely is that at the end of the second year, if we are still not able to offer you a place, definitely we will be able to offer your child a place at primary 3. So the wait will be for a maximum of 2 years. Okay, so that is the best that we are able to offer, and for us, because of the number of students that we are taking in, we have that window of opportunity, and we are sharing that with the parent volunteers so as to help you to make the decision as to whether it's worth the wait. We know that, we totally understand that some parents say, oh, if my child is already in another school for 2 years, and after 2 years, I don't really feel that I want to move my child anymore, then that is your choice, and we totally understand and respect that. But it's just for those who might still want to consider shifting their child after primary 2, then that opportunity is there, and we are sharing it openly with parent volunteers. Okay, so under phase 2B, just to also explain that this is again for parents who are considering parent volunteering in other schools as well, and also maybe some of your friends in future come and ask you some of these questions, you will be able to share the accurate information with them. So in order to qualify for any year's registration under phase 2B, the parents must start doing the volunteer work 1 year in advance. And generally, it means no later than 1st of July the year before. So for us, for your child to qualify for next year's P1 registration, which is usually around the July, August period, then you need to sign up as a parent volunteer before 1st of July. And for many schools, okay, let me pause for a bit now. Okay, so for schools that are popular in terms of having a lot of parent volunteers wanting to sign up for that school, they might even close the PV registration earlier than 1st July. Okay, so just want to share with parents and be very mindful and alert about the schools that you might be interested to consider doing parent volunteer in. So the 1st July is the general thing, definitely no later than 1st of July. Okay, but some schools might close their PV registration earlier than that. Okay, depending on the school circumstances. And the 40 hours of service is something that is a general rule by MOE. Our school, we are sticking to that 40 hours. For some other schools, especially the very popular ones, they might raise the number of hours required to maybe 60 hours. Okay, so there are cases like that. So do check with the schools very carefully in terms of the number of hours and their cutoff time for PV registration. Okay, and the service has to end. That means you must clock the required at least 40 hours of service by 30th of June a year later. Okay, no later than that. So that's the time frame that you have in terms of being able to complete your 40 hours of services. Okay, and again, for us, in terms of our ranking of our PVs on our wait list, okay, it will be based on the number of hours. So of course, you say, oh, at least 40 hours. If everybody clock 40 hours, then you will be at the same priority. Okay, but we hope that for those parents who might want to get yourself, in the event that you get balloted out, you want to make sure that you are higher up on the priority, then you might want to clock in more than 40 hours of service. So that's the kind of advantage that we will be able to offer. Okay. Yep. So that will be the thing about parent volunteer system. Now for parents, in terms of being active in the RC, you will need to check with the RC in terms of some of their rules, in terms of their recommendations, and the requirements for you in terms of what kind of duties you need to fulfill as RC members. Okay. All right. So. Okay, so again, we have just explained that the even at the parent volunteers phase 2B, there is a possibility of a balloting situation. So definitely completion of 40 hours of service does not guarantee, or even if you do 50 hours, 60 hours, it is still not a guarantee of a place in school for your child. So again, we want to make it very clear to everyone that this is something that is not really very much within our control, and that therefore the completion of 40 hours is by no means, okay, a guarantee for a place for a child. Okay, and this is the same for every other school as well. All right, so in terms of the choice of parent volunteer, again, the parent volunteer system really give the schools the autonomy to choose the kind of parent volunteers that they want. Now, for our school, really very much we are not very selective at all, but we do have situations whereby we might need to terminate the parent volunteer service if certain situation occurs, which we will go through in details in a bit. Okay. So these are the duties. We do have gate duties that is compulsory, and I think it's 10 hours of compulsory duties and 30 hours of ad hoc duties. So the 10 hours of compulsory duties are our gate duty. It spans from 6:30 to 7:30. So we require all parent volunteers to do clock at least 10 hours of it. Okay, then the rest of the 30 hours can come from any of the duties from this list. We will actually be we are streamlining the process. So I think what we do have is that my staff members do release the duties. We try to release it as early as we can for parents to sign up what are the duties that you want, and then we will allocate accordingly. So these are the details that our staff would explain to you more when it comes to the allocation of duties stage. Okay, but what we have here is that like lunch break duties, library duties, sometimes we have data entries. Chaperone for local learning journeys for the last 2 years has been more restrictive, so we have not been able to use these duty hours. Local camp, same thing. The last 2 years has been more restrictive, so we are not able to do that. But we still do have other duties that we are able to get our parent volunteers to fulfill their 40 hours. So far, as long as the timing, the parents are not too particular in terms of the hours that they are able to work with us, generally they will not have problems trying to fulfill that 40 hours. Swim safer duties, we hope that with the gradual open up of the situation in the countries, we will be able to resume many of these activities. Okay. So these are some things that I've gone through in terms of the 40 hours. Okay, so next, we'll move on to the terms and conditions. As I've said, there are maybe certain situations that we want parent volunteers to be very alert of. So what happens is that we, again, while this service seems to be a very transactional one, whereby parents generally are volunteering to, with nothing else but the aim of getting their children ahead of the priority system, but we still would like to say that we want this to be an opportunity for us to build sustained involvement and relationship with you as parent volunteers. That this is actually the first glimpse that you would take in terms of the kind of school that you want to place your child in, getting to know some of our teachers, some of our staff members. So we want to look at it in terms of that kind of relationship building. So it is really about not seeing this as a job that we are asking you to do, but really very much we want this to be a relationship building kind of opportunities, and we hope that you together that you will see that the work that you are doing with us and for us are actually opportunities that allow you to observe what we are doing and also playing a part in terms of our efforts to raise well-balanced children. And of course, for those who are doing the gate duty every morning, you will see our children, how they behave as they come into the schools. So these are all very telling for our parent volunteers in terms of seeing what this school is really all about. Okay. Unfortunately, okay, we do have certain situations that we might have to terminate our relationship with a parent volunteer. So one of it is about the parent's ability to fulfill the kind of assignments that we have. So there are certain parents that they say that, oh, my working hours is such that I cannot do any of these things, and I require the school to give me work that I can do over the weekend, or I can bring it home to do. Unfortunately, we don't have work. We don't assign work of that kind of nature to our parent volunteers. Okay, so we also want you to be very clear that if your working hours is such that you are not able to take leave to come to our schools in those situations to help out, so as to clock in your hours, then you cannot. I mean, it's not a good fit with us. Okay, so for parents that continuously keep not being able to match their timing with the kind of duties that we have, then we will want to talk to the parents to say that maybe this is a wrong fit. Maybe this is a wrong fit. Okay, so the 3 times or more are actually just a figure. Okay, but generally we just want to be very clear that if you are in that kind of situation, then we will actually approach you, and we might actually tell you that, to consider that we should not continue this relationship, as a for you as a parent volunteer, because really it's not going to work out, and we will end up with a situation whereby you cannot fulfill the 40 hours, and then you are still not going to qualify in our phase 2B anyway. So we will not want to get into that situation. So we will approach you early if this kind of situation actually will happen, that you are not able to match our time. C is, of course, if you do our duty like as gate duty and things like that, but instead of doing a gate duty, you are there, looking at your handphone for messages and things like that. So those are considered situation of negligence or acting in an irresponsible or inappropriate manner. And if that is the case, then that would also raise the flag for us to consider that whether this is the right parent volunteer for us. And because all these jobs comes with them a certain degree of responsibility. I mean, gate duty definitely is about doing the duty to direct traffic and to maybe supervise children getting off their vehicles. So there is a certain degree of responsibility. Or even, let's say, packing of goodie bags. Okay, in my previous school, we have asked some parent volunteers to pack goodie bags, and they did such a lousy job that my staff have to repack the whole bag again. Okay, and I want to be very clear. In that situation, we actually tell the parents, sorry, the hours that you clock, we are not clocking those hours because it was such a job badly done. So we do get into situations like that. So we just want to be very clear to all the parent volunteers that should this kind of situation happens, then these are the actions that we will take. Okay. Okay, so in terms of performing the services up to the expected standards, and then parent volunteers, okay, unfortunately, we do have parent volunteers who after volunteering, then they start to go into their blogs and then they start to type in things about unhappiness that they are seeing in the schools. Then I think we want to be very clear. If let's say the parent volunteers is, like we start off on the wrong foot like that, then I think it's the wrong school. I mean, there are so many schools in Singapore. Okay, we are not the only schools. So we also don't proclaim that we are the best school. So in that kind of situation, if the parent volunteers feels that these things here are not suitable, actually we would much prefer that the parent volunteers do not voice all these things in social media and things like that. And if that's the case, we will just say that, look, I think we can't continue our relationship with you. Okay, so again, I want to be very open about that. Okay. So other terms and conditions, just want to highlight some of the issues that we have encountered in our, in the course of our work with parent volunteers. So just want to clarify all these points, that only the parents of the child can render the service. Okay, not by auntie, not by uncles, not by domestic helpers, not by grandparents. Okay, and not by friends, definitely. So you cannot say that, oh, my company is able to offer this. Can you pass the job to me? I will go back to my company and get my staff to do this. No. Okay, you cannot do that. All right. And we also have past experiences whereby the parents have younger children that they will bring along while they are rendering the service. Again, we want to say that we are not going to allow that, because situations that have happened before, that we are seeing that when they bring their younger child along, they actually can't have their mind focused on doing the duties. So we have to say that if you need to come for duties, you have to make some childcare arrangement for your younger children at home. Okay, this no sharing of work is to be understood in this way, that for example, my gate duty that I require 2 people. Okay, so if let's say both of you come and I only ask for 2 people, and there's actually another one that is already here already, so 2 people, and then I already have one place allocated to another parent volunteer, and then here you are having both husband and wife appear for that second duty, then I'm sorry, I cannot clock double. Okay, so if it's a 1 person's worth of work and you are dividing it out into 2 parts to be shared between husband and wife, then sorry, we cannot double count that. Okay, and we want to be very clear about it, because there are parents who have suggested that. Okay, so really the sharing of work between the spouses, it will be halved. Okay, so whatever it is, there's no double counting and there's no cheating. Okay, to say, oh, this piece of work was being done by 2 people, but we said that, but this one here, we only require 1 person to do it. Okay, so I think we want to be very clear about that, about how we count the number of hours. Okay. All right, be properly attired. So this is a school setting. So we just want to say that there are certain attires that depending on the situation that you need to be aware of. Definitely clothing that are more revealing, okay, from both male and females. Do think through these are the kind of attire that we don't even allow our teachers or our staff members to wear it. So if a parent were to come in to do our duties with this kind of clothing, then it will be in a very difficult situations. Okay, so no shorts, no Bermudas, no spaghetti straps, no high heels, particularly if you are bringing our students out for learning journeys, whereby, or even doing a swim safer duties. So do think through about the kind of attire. And if you're not clear, just ask our staff to say what are the kind of things that you are allowed to wear for this kind of duty, and the nature of that duty as well. So do clarify. In terms of, yep, I've said earlier that in terms of the jobs and timings, we are, want to be very direct. All our jobs are to be done within working hours. Okay, we don't have a lot of activities, if at all, during the weekends. So definitely we don't have any of that kind of excursions in the weekends that will require parents. And definitely we work within the working hours of the week, and we don't allow the parent volunteers to bring the work home to do. Okay, so these are the nature of our work, and that we do ask that and I think the last point about the school not being held responsible is to again highlight this whole thing about how it really takes both sides. And for us, we will be monitoring the hours. So once you are having trouble fulfilling the hours because you keep not able to find timing that will suit your work time, then we will actually raise it up already to say that maybe this is not the right fit. Okay, so as not to get ourselves into that situation. All right, okay. So for those of us, okay, as I've said, balloting situation, and if you have seen in that earlier slides, let me just go back to it. You will see that actually, if you look at phase 2B, over the last few years before MOE changed that policy about the double allocation for phase 2C, we actually used to have more places for phase 2B. But since that reallocation, our phase 2B number have shrunk to 32. Okay, so meaning that in terms of the number of parent volunteers that we are taking, we are going to try to keep it to within 40. Okay, but even within 40s is because we are not so sure whether all the 40s will stay with us for the next 1 year. So we do kind of buffer a little bit, and the 32 again is an approximate figure. So whether the number will become 33 or 31 or 30, we are not so sure of the situation right now. So the 32 is an estimated figure, and 40, and again, out of this 40 parent volunteers, how many will be within 1 kilometers? We do not know. But we just want to say that last year in 2021, our balloting for parent volunteer is within 1K and 2K. Okay, so we do sense that there are groups of parents who are living within 2 kilometers of our school that are interested to get themselves ahead by doing volunteer work. So for parents who are more than 2K away, the chances are quite slim for you to be able to be successful for the registration and balloting. Okay, but that whole offer about after 2 years we are able to take you in, that one still stands. Okay, but the immediate part to be able to come in straight away at P1 will be a lot slimmer. Okay, so this is something that we want to highlight. And that the proximity to school is really a key factor that will improve your chances of admission to the schools. And for PRs who are, because every year we do have PRs who are interested to sign up for parent volunteers, we do want to encourage you to consider taking up the Singapore citizenship for your child, okay, so that they are able to qualify. Okay, so, and yep, and all the parent volunteers, our past parent volunteers, we always strongly encourage them to consider joining our parent support group and continue to develop that long-term involvement and relationship with us. Okay, so, all right, so if you are still yet to sign up as our parent volunteers after this briefing, you know the details and your balancing and considerations, then please do so before 25th of March. Okay, so with that, I end my presentations. Any further questions? Okay. Okay, if no further questions, okay, how to sign up as parent volunteer will be, Jokni, how to sign up will be what, calling the office? Okay, so do write to us. Okay, we will give you the form. Oh. Okay, so sending to our generic email. So do send an email to our generic email address, which is available on our school website. Okay, so how would you know if you are successful signing up as a PV? We will let you know immediately. Okay, at this stage, we are not screening anybody out. So likelihood is that once you sign up before 25th of March, you are in. Okay. Okay, if you have already signed up, if you already fill up the forms and submitted the form to us, you are already in. Okay, if there are informations that are not complete, then our staff would have gotten contact with you. All right. Okay, and if you want to, and you're still not so sure, and you want to just give our office a call. Okay, or write an email to the generic email address. Okay. Okay, so we are just holding a little bit more. So basically, I finished the briefing. So those of us who have no questions, you can exit. So thank you very much, parents, for spending this morning with us, and we hope that this briefing will help you in terms of making that decision and understand a bit more about the parent volunteer service. Thank you very much. Yes, the tasks are limited to Monday and Friday. Yeah, most of the time. Okay, the nature of the work for PV, okay, the school will assign, because the job will come not right now, but that because every time we will actually consolidate the work from our teachers. So our teachers, if they have certain work to be done, then they will actually approach our staff, say, I will need some parent volunteers. Okay, we generally encourage them to come and let us know earlier so that we are able to put up this offer to all of you, and then you will be able to decide whether the timing is such that you are able to fit, and therefore you can sign up for the service. Okay. Yes, Admiralty _ps@moe.edu.sg. That is our school's email. Yes. Yep. Once you sign up the form, you are considered successful as a PV. Okay, PR still stand a chance under the current PV registration. Yes, you can still sign up as a PV, but you need to understand the odds are really against you in terms of your success in terms of the balloting. You most likely will not get a chance to ballot at all. Okay, and your best hope is actually about that whole priority on the wait list, and also in terms of that eventual admission at the end of primary 2. Right now, we are probably approaching 30 plus PV. Yeah. So we are actually definitely exceeding the 32 number at this stage in terms of the number of PVs. Okay. All right. Okay, so once we finish typing this answer, we will close this meeting now. So again, parents, thank you very much for coming in for this briefing. So the canteen duty, we will usually try to lump a few duties together. So we generally want to ensure that they are able to do maybe at least 1 to 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours of canteen services. Limit of PV, are you referring to the number of PV that we are taking in? We are trying to control that so that we don't get ourselves into a big balloting situation. I think even though we say that there's no guarantee, but having 32 places is not sound for us to take in 60 volunteers when we are anticipating only 32. So we also want to have a bit of control. Yeah, so that control is something that is exercised at our end. Yeah, so at this stage right now, we are actually pretty much hitting the max already. So that's why we are closing the PV registration very quickly. So that's why you see that the timing here is by 25th, and it really is open for parents like you who have come for this briefing. Any other cold calls, I don't, we are not entertaining them anymore in terms of signing up as PV. Okay. Yes, one-time canteen duty is about 2 hours, because we want to make sure that when you take time off from the work that you come over here, right? We want to make sure that we pack in enough hours for you. It doesn't make sense for you to like, take off from your work for half a day and then you are just coming here for a 30 minutes duty. Okay. Yes, done a few in a day. It depends on whether we have that many work for you. Okay, so it's quite hard to tell, but we generally try to tag as many of them together as possible so that you are able to like, come in once and you are able to fulfill a substantial number of hours of work. Yeah. Yes, still pending for Singapore citizenships. You can sign up for PV first. Yeah, and then once you are Singapore citizens, then you know that your priority will be a lot higher up than you are when you are a PR. Yep. Okay, I think we have answered all questions. So do keep your questions coming in if there are still questions after this briefing. So because I know that many of you are logging on from work. So I think we want to quickly end this session so that you can get back to your work. Okay, again, thank you very much, parents, for coming in and for your interest to be our PVs. So thank you very much, and we hope to work with you. Thank you. Yep.